Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our Sunday night satsang.
Hi, everybody. Welcome.
So nice to have the gathering that we have. You know, they say that when two or more come together with an intention, then it gets amplified. And so I would really honor you for being here tonight to amplify this field of compassion, of love, and of light that we are building up and sending into the world at this time. It's really, really important. It really is important. So, welcome everyone. Welcome. We love to connect with you. So if you have any comments, please write them in the comment box. Let us know where you're from, as we say, what city, what country, what place that you're from. Just let us know where you're from, and that's really great. And if you have any questions, type them up, and we'll maybe look at them. We answer all the comments, and we can look at topics for future satsangs, talks with us. So we value your questions and your comments. Thank you.
It's great to have some of you joining us again, and some of you for the first time. It's really lovely. It's a community.
Those of you who are joining us for the first time, well, my name is John Homewood. I'm an integral life coach and teacher. I believe in putting everything into a broader perspective, so bringing disassociated parts and making a whole picture out of them. I've been doing this work for many, many years. We run retreats and workshops. And Michelle.
Yeah, I'm Michelle McLuhan, and I'm an astrologer and a life coach, also integrated life coach, and use astrology really as a way to help to coach people, to help them navigate things like that, what we're navigating now, and to navigate their lives in an optimal way. So, John and I work together and run workshops and retreats when we can, and are now doing online stuff because that's what's come up for us now. So, we've been really enjoying working in this way for the last 2 months, which was unexpected, but here we are.
Here we are. And there's a teacher, Stephen Covey, and he talked about the different intelligences that we have, and we have IQ and intellect, and that's an intelligence which has been pretty much worshipped by the world for a long, long time. In fact, the higher your IQ, the more left brain, the more analytical, the more time-based you're thinking, the more strategic, the more you're able to plan and manipulate, you tended to be rewarded from a material point of view. And yet the world is changing. And Stephen Covey said, but hang on, we have other intelligences. We have EQ. EQ is emotional intelligence. And that needs to be taken into account. He said emotional intelligence is more valuable than IQ. But he said the intelligence that trumps them all, excuse the pun, the intelligence that trumps them all is SQ, spiritual intelligence. And that's really the nature of the work that we do, spiritual intelligence. And the word spiritual, I don't think needs to be seen in a religious context. The word religion really means to bind, maybe to bind to a dogma or a particular way of seeing the world, where the word spiritual I see as conscious. It means the more spiritual you are, the more awake you are, the more aware you are, the more awareness you have, the more holistic your perception of reality is. So when I use the word spiritual, I don't particularly use it in a religious way. I use it in a way of leading us into a higher realm of awareness and consciousness. And, we've spoken before about Albert Einstein, and he said you can't solve the problem with the same level of consciousness that you were at when the problem was created. In other words, you have to go up to a higher level of awareness to really solve the problems. And I would suggest that the world at the moment is going through a crisis, going through a lot of challenges at the moment, and a lot of people will approach the problems with the old level of consciousness. And I would suggest that that's not the way forward. The way forward is for us to elevate our awareness and our consciousness to a higher level, and then from that new perspective, from that new paradigm, look at the challenges in a new way and solve them in a way that will create a new outcome. Not a better outcome based on the past, but a brand new outcome that's never been experienced before, a brand new solution. to the way that we can live as a human species.
Absolutely. So we're going to bring people in to a nice place of quiet before we start, and then we'll do a bit of talking and discussing, and I'll give you a little astrology update following on from my one that I put out on Friday, because we're still feeling the energy of that definitely for the week. And then we'll close with a centering meditation as well, just to help you guys deal with the energies that are here now, which are rather big.
Yes, and the topic for tonight, or the title for tonight's talk, is the Apocalyptic Fires. So we're going to be looking at that as well.
A very fiery energy, and they're fires of change.
Yeah.
And they're revealing that which is underneath the surface. So, are you going to lead us in, John?
Yes. So let's make ourselves comfortable. And let us bring us back into our true essence, which is presence, our true beingness, which I call Isness. You know, we have so many words for this, and the word I love, I borrowed from Eckhart Tolle, and it's Isness, because no one's started a church of Isness yet. So it hasn't been too conceptualized at the moment. Isness. So just bring yourself into the Isness of just this moment. Reality is always here and always now. Reality is Isness, right now. You can touch, you can feel, you can hear. So just gently close your eyes and become aware of the Isness of this moment. And let's use the sense right now of touch. So become aware of everything that your body is touching right now. Your body is touching the chair you're sitting on. What does that feel like? What does it feel like to be supported by the backrest of the chair you're sitting on? Lean back and feel that support. What does it feel like to be supported in just this moment? Honor your chair with your awareness. Become aware of where your feet are touching right now. Feel that connection to the ground beneath you, to Mother Earth, to the energy of Gaia. Where are your hands touching right now? Become aware of that incredible gift called touch. Think of how touch enriches your life. From a practical point of view, it means that you can pick up a cup and drink a cup of coffee or cup of tea. You can wash your body. You can dress yourself. And you can hug. You can touch the soft skin of a baby. You can stroke the hair of your lover. Touch is such a fantastic experience given to you by your body. And the only place you can touch, the only time you can touch, is in the present moment. You cannot touch in the past and you cannot touch in the future. The only time you can have the direct experience of touch is in the present moment. So right now become aware of where your hands are touching. Become aware of where the air in the room touches your cheeks. Become aware of your in-breath and your out-breath and the sensation of the air in your nostrils. Become aware of the air as it vibrates and sounds and touches your eardrums. You can hear my voice vibrating, but what other sounds can you hear vibrating in the air as it reaches your eardrums right now? Become still, become quiet, and listen to the furthest sound that you can hear. Without judging it, just listen. And now become aware of the stillness that your listening has led you into. For as you listened there, you had to quieten your thoughts. And as you quieten your thoughts, you find that there's a space underneath your thoughts. There's a reality that is always here, always present, that lies underneath the very busy mind. The busy mind that's analyzing and judging and predicting, and it has its preferences, its memories, future projections. But underneath all of that, right now in this moment, feel the stillness and rest deeper into the stillness. And as you do that, feel your heart opening. We close our hearts down when there's too much activity, too much noise. But as we enter the state of quietness, so our heart naturally opens like a flower as it receives the sunlight. Stillness is food for the heart. It's nourishment for the soul. And as we enter the space of quietness, feel your heart opening to welcome this quietness, this stillness, this peace. And settle down into your body, which is always connected with reality. And take a deep breath into your belly button, blowing your tummy up like a big ball. And then release the breath. Just relax and release the breath. Let it go. And now take another deep breath in, right down to your belly button, right down to your toes. And then a long, long out breath, releasing all other times and all other places, all activities. Let them go. All preferences. Take another deep breath in, blowing your tummy up like a big ball. Take the air right down to your toes, right down to your fingertips and right up to the top of your head. Filling your whole body up. More, 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 more. And then a long, long, long releasing sigh out. Let it all go. And just allow life to breathe you for a moment. Life is an incredible intelligence that connects you to the cosmos. Life breathes you. Life beats your heart. Life listens through you. Life enables you to talk, to walk. It digests your food. It repairs your body. You don't know how to do any of that, but life does. Life is the intelligence within you. So for a moment, just settle into alignment with life, becoming one with life. Relax into the arms of life, trusting that life will always, always meet your needs. It always has and it always will. And the out-breath is a realigning with life. It's a letting go. And it's in the letting go, it's in the releasing, it's in the surrender that we align our will with the will of life. And this surrender brings us the beautiful taste, the fragrance of peace. Feel that. Taste that. Smell that fragrance of peace in this moment. It's joy for the soul. It's food for the heart. And this peace is your true essence, your true beingness. It doesn't have to be sought after, it doesn't have to be gained through any work. All we need to do is release the barriers that we have put up between us and stillness. This is our work at this time. It's a beautiful, beautiful process called awakening. Take one last deep breath in, blowing the tummy up like a big ball. Big, 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 big ball. And a long sigh, releasing out breath. And when you're ready, gently, in your own time, open your eyes. And as you do that, once again, just become aware of how your body feels in this moment. How do you feel right now?
We'd like to hear how you feel. I definitely feel more calmer. Thank you, John. Okay, so I think I'll kick off just with a little bit of astrology, because that's what I'm sort of feeling energetically now, and maybe some of you have been feeling it as well. We have, on Friday, we had a lunar eclipse, and that was basically the start of what we call our eclipse season, which basically this month lasts for 1 month, and we have 3 eclipses in 1 month, which is a lot. Most years we have 4 eclipses in a year. This year we've got 6. Eclipses are always a time of very big change and shifts. So basically eclipses have a much longer lifespan, if you like, energetically, than a normal full moon and a normal new moon. So it happens at new moon and full moon, but it's just much, much more powerful. And they can have lives of up to 18 months. So this eclipse season, and I'm not going to go into the whole thing because I did that in my last video, but this eclipse season is going to have roots and is going to kind of inform the energy as it plays out over the next year and more. So this one that we're experiencing now, although the eclipse is over, we've still got a connection that was formed by the eclipse. So when we have a lunar eclipse, which we had on Friday, we have the sun on one side and the moon on the other side, and they oppose each other. And they're in the signs of Gemini and Sagittarius. Now, when the eclipse happened, both of those were squaring a planet called Neptune and squaring a planet called Mars. So what that does is it sets up a sort of an energetic pattern, which most of us feel. We might not be aware of it astrologically, but we feel it. And that feeling, that energy, carries on through this week. So I'm just going to give you a little bit of an update on that, which is basically when you have the sun, which is where it is right now in Gemini, it's squaring Mars, which is in Pisces, and it's exact today. So it was building up to the exact connection today over the last few days. It's exact today. So those are our 2 masculine planets in our cosmos and in our solar system, but within us as well. So it's masculine on masculine. So it can be quite dynamic energy on an upside. It can be that energy to get moving and do something, the energy to break through. But on the other side, it can also be the energy to fight, to argue, to have disagreements. It's ego. It's sort of ego conflicts, and it's very fiery because the sun is in Gemini, the moon was in Sagittarius. The elements right now are quite fiery. So just if you have been feeling that, you might be feeling a bit of aggression, a bit of anger, rage might be coming to the surface. There might be little eruptions that are happening. There might be irritations. People might be pushing your buttons. I know somebody that texted me today saying she feels like a wild lion who wants to roar. So a lot of people are feeling that. And at the same time as that, the sun, which is sitting in the same place, is also squaring a planet called Neptune. And Neptune is a much gentler planet. It's a planet that's associated with spirituality, with connection, with being spiritually connected, with being in the present moment. And it's also associated with delusion, deception, being told lies, having a veil over our eyes so that we can't see the truth. And the axis that these eclipses are on is the truth-giving axis. So it's almost like these times are like a truth serum. And I think for most of you who are doing any research and any reading and watching stuff on your own, outside of the mainstream, you'll find that there's a lot of dissenting views, and there's a lot of stuff that just doesn't make sense. So what this is actually doing is it's sort of enraging us to find the truth, if that makes sense. That's one of the ways that we could look at it. It's pulling the veil down it's taking the shutters off from our eyes in terms of what we take in as the truth, and what we actually know to be the truth. So that's the way I'm sort of reading this energy. And as I say, it's not just now. That's actually going to have a long-term effect. So what I said in my video, and you can watch that, it goes into a bit more detail, is we need to find the truth within ourselves, within that part of us that has an inner knowing. It's not an intellectual, conceptualized knowledge. It's an inner knowing. It's that intuitive sense. The Sagittarius axis of this, which is where the nodes are for the next 18 months. The Sagittarius axis of that is truth, and it's intuition. It's that knowingness. So that's just something that I wanted to put in at the beginning, because some of you might be feeling that, and that's what we're going to be chatting about as well. And to find ways of navigating that, because it's kind of blustery. There's just so much going on, and it can be so confusing. And you can go from being fired up for change to feeling completely hopeless and not knowing what's going on the next moment. And so again, we go back to the center. There's that place of presence, because that's the only place where there's any truth.
Yeah. And this is a very big cycle that we're in, and the topic is the apocalyptic fires, and so Mars at the moment represents that fire, and it will bring up fires. It'll be fires, of passion, fires of anger, maybe physical fires, and the word apocalypse means for the veil to come down. This is what Michelle has been alluding to. The veil, that which is hidden, the truth from us, is now dissolving. It's coming down, and the truth that's been hidden behind the veil is now being revealed. So this is a time of the truth being revealed, and it's interesting that the planets are talking about a serum of truth. And the old world is very much predicated on a certain narrative and controlling the narrative. And if you do a bit of research, you'll see that it's not by accident that we have probably 4 or 5 companies in the world that control virtually all the media. So there is a focus of energy that is controlling the narrative, which actually informs us of what is true in a, what they call a zeitgeist, in a sort of broadly accepted way of this is the truth. And it was interesting, last night we watched a YouTube clip, and it was just had examples of the adverts that have been coming out in America from all the companies, the big companies, about the process that we'll be going through. And it's been they show advert after advert after advert, totally different companies, all coming out with the same narrative, the same music, the same theme, the same words coming through. And I mean, there's got to be many, many different advertising agencies in America putting this all together. But there's so much commonality between them all, because there's a narrative that's being fed through, and this is the veil. The veil is the narrative of deception, from which, through which we have as a species have been controlled for a long, long time. It's amplified at the moment with the electronic media, but this narrative has been around. I mean, we've had a narrative going around for 2,000-3,000 years, and the underlying theme of that narrative can be summed up in one word: fear. And the acronym, which those of you who know of my teachings will know very well, it's false evidence appearing real. and that is the perception that I only have worth in that which I produce, that which I do. So I am what I do, I am what I have accumulated, I am my possessions and my experiences, and I am what other people think of me. So, social conditioning is very important. Peer pressure is very important. If everyone's wearing a mask and you don't want to wear a mask, and you walk outside without your mask on, people are going to look at you. I better put my mask on. That's all under the banner of fear. And this energy has really ruled us for about almost 3,000 years now, of fear. And it's so insidious that we take it for granted. It's how we live our lives. We live our lives in fear. We're born into fear. We live in fear. We die in fear. And that's normal. But normal maybe is mad. And normal isn't something that's truly, it's human. It's been imposed upon us. We are a human being, and being is the opposite of fear. Being is in fact love. Love and being are the same words, or different words pointing us towards something that can't be spoken about. And love is the medicine for fear. So the process that we're going through as the veil comes down, first of all, we have a lot of trauma from a psychological point of view. When the wall fell in Berlin, dividing East and West Germany, when was it, 1994 I think it was, or earlier, somewhere there, there was a huge psychological trauma in the East Europeans, because something they had been so programmed to believe in, communism, suddenly crumbled. And they were so programmed to believe, but that is the right thing, communism, and suddenly it wasn't. And so there's something called cognitive dissidence, which is when your worldview is threatened and you're not willing or not open or not able to look at a new vision, that you will actually step back into anger, and you will defend a system, even though the evidence is overwhelming that belief is no longer appropriate. We will defend that old belief, and we will in fact even go to war. And whether we're going to war with our family, over different beliefs that we have at the moment, or physically going to war as a sort of race, we have racial conflict building up at this time. These are the wars that come out of cognitive dissidence. So it's to realize that this change that we're going through is not bad. I don't want to label it bad. It is challenging, yes, very, very challenging. And our beliefs are being challenged. When you're standing on a ground of a certain worldview, and that worldview starts crumbling, it is normal to say no to that and to cling on to the old. And I know 13 years ago when I gave a lot of talks on the Mayan calendar, and I used to quote from a Hopi poem, and the poem went something like this. It said, "The river is flowing very fast, and there are those who will be afraid. They will try to cling to the shore, and they'll feel that they're being pulled apart." Now the shore is that which was. It's that which you cling to for your security. But the river, this change is going so fast now that if you try and cling on to a rock, you're going to be hit by passing debris, your hands are going to be scarred, and they say push off into the middle of the river. In other words, go to the middle of this flow of life and look around you and see who's with you on this journey, it says, and celebrate. For we are the ones we're waiting for. And it's beautiful. So if you try and cling on to your old worldview, your old belief patterns, you're going to suffer. Right now, I think it's to suggest that we have minds that work like parachutes. Parachutes work best when they're open, not closed. So I think at this time, there's much that we do not know. But it's to say, I do not know. Not that is wrong.
I'm not going to look at it.
I'm not going to look at it. I'm not going to go there. No, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, we have all these stories coming out of America that, yes, there's something called Q, and this is an organization that's been set up to liberate the world from whether that's true or not, I don't know. But I'm open to it. Yeah. I don't depend on it. I don't lean on the news in any way at all. I don't look to the news to inform me, whether it's alternative news or mainstream news. I don't look at that to inform me. I go into the knowingness, as Michelle spoke about earlier, my intuitive knowingness. And the difference between the mind's knowingness and the intuitive knowingness, the mind always has fear attached to it, anxiety attached to it. This intuitive knowingness is in a place of peace. There's just a place of peace. There's no judgment. There's just a, that's it, an And I would suggest that with so many conflicting bits of information coming out, a lot of disinformation coming out on purpose by the forces that want you to believe in the mainstream media, they muddy the waters of the alternative media by putting a lot of disinformation into there. It's done deliberately.
And there's lots of different agendas and on all sorts of people doing all sorts of stuff like that.
Correct. Mm-hmm. And I'm saying, don't cling on to that. Have an open mind. Look at it all. Don't say, I'm not going to look at that. Look at that. And be open enough to accept that there is a possibility that may be real. But always you come back to that quiet, intuitive, peaceful voice inside yourself, knowing that from the Course in Miracles it says that nothing real can be threatened. Only that which is unreal can be threatened, and because it's unreal, it's not that important. So anything that is being challenged right now, know that that's not of the ultimate importance. Come back to that which is never challenged, which is your true beingness, which is that love, that presence that you hold inside yourself. That'll get you through the fires of change. These are wonderful times we're going through. We've lived in an illusion for many, many years, an illusion of someone outside of you knowing the answers and you listening to those answers. And what we have been doing for 2,000-3,000 years, we've been living someone else's agenda, and it tends to be the power brokers. That's their agenda. They have put onto us certain worldviews, religion being a main worldview, but recently, in the last couple of 100 years, we've had the worldview of capitalism and competition. That's the only way there is. No, there's far better ways to live our lives than that. Money, for example, and interest and usury and inflation. We've just taken all of that for granted. No, there's a much better way to live our lives. If we come back into this intuitive knowingness, we do know that. And as we go through this, what I describe as a birth canal, there's going to be a lot of uncertainty as we move through this, a lot of darkness. But on the other side of that, a new world is waiting to be born. And it's a beautiful world. But we are, as a Hopi poem, we are the ones we're waiting for. As we anchor our awareness now more in love, more in centeredness, more in presence, that energy within us will color and create the new world that we're stepping into, the new world that is being built for our children and our grandchildren. A world that's not based on fear, not based on separation. And if you look at this situation in America at the moment with Black Lives Matter, what is that about? It's about separation. Once again, we have black and we have white. It's about separation. And if you look at who's funding that movement, it's about division. It's not about moving into the light. It's not about moving into love. It's about separation. So you know what's going on. You don't get caught up in it. You don't get angry to it. You come back to your centeredness. And you send all of those involved your love, your forgiveness. And that heals not only your wounds, but it heals the wounds of the world.
Yeah, and just to be aware of what we're feeding into. You know, whether we're feeding it or not. Because we can choose to do that. We can choose to feed that polarization and to feed more fear into the pot that's already boiling, or we can choose not to do that. That's a choice that we have. And that's for each of us to make our own choice. But we can choose. Am I going to actually further fan these flames of polarization and separation and you're that and I'm that and you're that and I'm that, which has never worked and never will? Or am I going to actually not share that stuff, just on a media level? So we have that choice. I love this quote by Helen Keller, who, as you know, I think she was deaf and dumb. I think blind. She was mute and blind. And she said, security is mostly a superstition. It does not exist in nature, nor do the children of men as a whole experience it. Avoiding danger is no safer in the long run than outright exposure. Life is either a daring adventure or nothing. And
That's
we
beautiful,
are
that.
in a daring adventure right now. We're in it. And to actually stay in the dark and to actually say, well, it's not happening, I'm just going to stay safe. It's almost better to actually say, right, I'm opening up and I'm actually going to look at everything. And I'm going to feel my way into what's true for me. Because that's the only truth we have. Somebody else standing right next to you might have a truth which does not resonate with you. That's okay. You don't have to agree. You can have different perspectives. But it's the only perspective that actually makes any sense is your own truth that lies here, not here. And we've been driven from this for so long that we've actually forgotten how to think for ourselves. Does this make sense to me? And look at it and use our own brain and our own intuition and say, does it make sense? No. Okay. Then maybe I don't need to do that. We do have choice. You know, there's laws that you have to follow, but we also have a lot of choice in terms of how we see something and how we react and how we respond and what we spread and what we feed. So this whole revealing and this lowering of the veil is when the rock that we've, as John was saying there, that we've built our security on starts to crumble, and we realize that, hang on a sec, I actually can't trust that to provide me my security. Maybe I can't even trust our media or our government or whatever. Then what can I trust? That's the spiritual awakening for me, is to say, well, what can I trust? Because it's not that. It's not the outside world. So if we're on the periphery of a world that's going nuts, we are going to spin out from confusion and anger and rage and fear. That's just describing the astrology as well. But it's a combination of all these things swimming around us constantly. It's like, where do you want to stand? Do you want to stand on the outside of the wheel or the inside? Where everything's still.
On the hub.
Right in the hub of that wheel,
The
at the center of the storm. That's where we're actually going to get through this storm. What's that there? Just saying. Oh, you must plug your cell phone in. We just need to plug a PowerPoint in.
So we need to plug a PowerPoint in.
Yeah, we do. Otherwise we're going to disappear from you. So it's the center of the storm. It's being at the center. It's staying present. It's staying in your own truth, which is where your power is. That's where the truth is.
Talking of power, we're going to plug the power into.
We're going to plug ourselves back in.
Before we run out of power here. This is the right one, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so life is either a daring adventure or nothing.
And read the line before that. There was...
Avoiding danger is no safer in the long run than outright exposure. Life is either a daring adventure or nothing.
Now you think of that regarding the virus. You know, so many people have been controlled by this fear of getting the virus. And my intuition says, first of all, the virus is not as dangerous as was originally made out, and we've been proved that now by the statistics, which show us that it's probably no more dangerous than the normal flu. But the second part of that is that by not getting the virus now, okay, yes, we can protect our medical systems from being overwhelmed, but ultimately you have to get the virus. It's not going to go away until you get it. Now, you've got two ways of getting it. The one way is getting it naturally, where 90-odd% of the people will not even ever know that you've got it. It just passes through your body, and your body's immune system deals with it like it deals with the other millions of viruses that are passing through it every second of every day. Or you're going to be given it artificially, straight into your bloodstream in a vaccine. Now, just from a intelligent point of view, I'd say I'd rather get it through the natural processes than being given to me artificially, manufactured in a test tube somewhere and given to me directly in my blood. So, I just suggest that we need to look at our fears and realize that the fears, what she says here, what did she say there? Just read that again.
Avoiding danger is no safer in the long run than outright exposure.
No safer in the long run. No safer in the long run. So I believe, yes, we need to slow down the curve for the first, 21 days to allow the hospitals to prepare themselves. We're long past that stage now. Go out into your normal life. Go out, unless you are in a compromised situation, then you need to make plans for that. Yes, if you're compromised, then avoid the flu. Don't get the coronavirus. Avoid that. Don't put yourself at risk. But otherwise, live your life as you would normally. It's fear, and we have a this year particularly is such a pivotal year. We have a choice to make. And there are only two baskets we get to choose from. We have the basket of false evidence appearing real, which is perpetrated on us by the media, by governments, by power brokers. And then we have the basket of love. And love is about connection, not separation. It's about hugging people. It's about shaking hands. It's about mixing with your friends and your family. And the other basket is about separation. Oh, I might get the virus. And we now have a choice to make, and this is not an accident, that we are, as a species, being given the opportunity to choose, and to choose very wisely. And if you think of religion, is a polarized, so it puts, the devil of darkness on one side, and it puts the God of love on the other side. And it says you have to choose between the devil and God. And most people at the moment are choosing the darkness, the fear. And I believe this is not an accident. I believe we are being given a choice to make. In your spirit, which do you choose? Do you choose fear, or do you choose connection? Do you choose separation, or do you choose that sense of oneness? That's the choice that we're going. And this is the apocalypse that we're going through. This is the veil is coming down, and the rawness behind that. And there is a lot of darkness behind the veil. It's a raw sewer. Michelle has been speaking for the last year about Pluto being the plumber of the universe and bringing the sewage to the surface. There is so much sewage there. Yeah. There is so much darkness, so much inhumanity, unbelievable inhumanity that's been perpetrated on this planet for a long, long time. And it's no good ignoring it anymore. It's now coming to the surface. It needs to come to the surface to be dissolved. Mm-hmm. And that's the process. And our participation in it is really a choice not between ignorance and knowledge so much as between fear and love.
Mm. And I think that's also to bear in mind that darkness, that, we are all one. This is the reality. We are not separate. So the darkness that exists out there exists in us. Yeah. And so when we block our own darkness, when we won't feel those feelings, when we block them because we're trying to be, perfect, we need to accept and acknowledge our own darkness, our own shadow, and move through that. We need to acknowledge that we might feel angry, we might feel rage, we might feel grieving, we might feel all sorts of different emotions. Is to acknowledge them, not just stay there and hang out there in the shadows, but to acknowledge them and move through them. So as soon as we reject somebody else, we are rejecting ourselves in a way. So we're rejecting darkness, we're rejecting our own darkness. We accept our own darkness. It's not that we accept and we want to bring more darkness in, but we accept that we're part of this. We're not separate. We have perpetrated stuff in our past lives and this life. So it's just to see we're not victims, and we can choose to navigate this with total authenticity, with, yes, I'm feeling this feeling right now, and that's okay. It's okay if I'm feeling angry. Yeah, there's a bit of anger coming up. Okay, how can I work with this so I'm not projecting it out onto the world? And because when you're projecting it, you're not feeling it. So people say, I dealt with my anger, I let him have it. No, well, you didn't deal with your anger then. You just let somebody else have your anger. It's actually quite good. I let him have it. Yeah, I let him have my own anger. You didn't deal with it. When you're dealing with it, you're feeling it fully. But we're scared of that because we're scared of the darkness. We're scared of that. There's dark, there's light. So just be present for it all. Be present for for the delusions, be present for the truth, and find your own way that works for you, that feels right for you.
And your true way is to come back to who you really are, which is centeredness. You are, as Michelle said earlier, you have this hub of the wheel going around and around, and the outside, the circumference of that wheel is getting very, very uncomfortable. There's so much uncertainty. There's so many ups and so many downs, and nothing sticks around for very long. But if you come into the center of that wheel, there's a stillness. You are that center. That center sits right inside you. It's called presence. And when you come into that presence, there's nothing you can't deal with in the present moment. You can always deal with the present moment. It's a circumference, it's a story of life that you can't deal with. It's the past and the future that you can't deal with. But the present moment you can always deal with, because the present moment is love. It's the place of love. It's the portal into that field where we all connect to, where we all one. Yeah. So that's the choice which we now get to make. And we've made maybe bad choices in the past where we've chosen fear, we've chosen separation, we've chosen division. And now we get to choose again in this moment. We get to choose again. We get to choose right now in this moment which world we're going to worship, which God we're going to worship. Are we going to worship the God of fear, of separation, that there's a virus out there controlling us, there's a government controlling us, or Bill Gates or whatever? Or are we going to come into that sense of love? Jesus, for example, said, love thy enemy as thyself. And if you perceive the virus as an enemy, if you perceive Bill Gates or George Soros as the enemy, the suggestion here is you love them as you would love yourself, because as Michelle said, there is only one. You are them. You are everything. There's nothing you're not. And this is a process of self-love. And the self that we are loving is the self that's everything. That's true love. There is nothing that you're not. There is no other. Yeah. We have this racial conflict going on. But you're white, black, Indian, colored, everything. You have had so many experiences, so many lives, so many meat suits, so many bodies, whatever you want to call them. There's nothing that you're not. You are it all. How can you judge another when you are the other? And so this process of coming back to love is a process of acceptance, a process of embracing the differences. But in here, there's no difference. What you hold in yourself, this perfect, beautiful spark of divine presence, is in everything. That's the greeting of Namaste. Namaste is when you see the divine in you and you recognize that same divine in the other. Not another divine, but the same divine. Religion has taught us that my God's better than your God. So we have all these different gods. And now we're coming back to love. Love, there is only one. There is only one being. There's only one life. And there's only one presence. And you are it. That's love. And when you start to build your house on this, you find security, you find peace, you find ease.
Yeah, and something that I came across during the week and I posted on, and I'm just going to reiterate some of it here. We are here to let our ideas of ourselves go up in flames. That is what transformation is. It's to let the idea of ourselves go up in flames, so that beneath the ashes, the soft core of who we truly are arises. And so that we remember that it's not the heart that ever breaks, it's the ego. The heart only ever expands. So what this card was so beautiful. It said, the meditation was, what heartbreak can I see now as an opportunity to expand? Because we see heartbreak as so terrible, and my heart broke. No, what if my heart is breaking right now? Is it expanding me? Is that the crack through which the light can actually come through? Is that what is happening? And that's what's happening. What we've known to be true is cracking, so that we can actually see the truth. We can see the truth of everything and everybody, and that could be scary. But that's what's happening, and we can't stop it from happening. And then the intention, everything happens for my liberation. I choose to become only more love. So we can choose to harden and to say, no, I'm closing to this. I can't do this. Or we can say, phew, okay, this is more change. Let's see. Let's open to the change. Let's not close down. Because as soon as we close down, that's where the suffering is again. So it's like we need to ride this wave of change, knowing that we're on a wave of change, and stay in the center. Because it's not going to go away now. So it's better to just embrace the change and be the phoenix. So burn away what needs to be burnt away. If there's anger there, let it come and burn it away. The resistance, the falsehoods, the fears, the self-hatred. Because when we hate somebody else, we're hating ourselves. So it's self-hatred. Let that burn away. Let the grief burn away. And there'll be more, but it's okay because you've been through those huge fires, and this is a huge fire. This is not a short-term thing. The world as we know it is not going to be the same after this, on any level, because there's going to be truths that come out more and more, and people realizing the truth within themselves more than ever before. So it's not going to be the same. So best we just ride it and find ways of doing that to the best of our ability.
And that is to come back into your centeredness.
Yeah.
That's the way through, because as you start to build your life on this rock, the rock of centeredness, you can release all worries, all concerns, all anxieties. They can't coexist with presence. You can only be worried when you're not present. You can only be fearful when you're not present. When you are present, they're not there. In fact, your primary experience becomes one of peace. That is the difference. And it is a choice that we consciously have to make right now. We consciously have to make as a species right now. And that bit that Michelle read was a card that she pulled in a pack, and Michelle put that up on the web on Facebook.
And but I've really meditated on that card over the last few days, and it's really profound wisdom. And I think that if we can do that, if we can see, because we can always choose to see things as a crisis or as an opportunity. And if we see it as an opportunity to grow and expand and soften and awaken, then we can say, okay, bring it on. I chose this. I'm part of this. So here I am. I'm ready. It's a whole different thing to saying, oh God, when's it going to be over? And there's all of us are thinking that to some degree, because we want to get back with our lives properly and we want things to be right and nice and good. But there's a clearing process happening here. And there's nothing that we can do to stop that, because it's already happening. So it's to navigate it the best way that we know how.
Again, it's to come back to that analogy of going down the birth canal. The birth is a painful process. It's a dangerous process. But at the same time, it's also a beautiful process. Something new is being born into the world. And that birth is something that has been yearned for by the human soul, by Mother Gaia, for a long, long time. And we're in the process of doing it. The question I got asked the other night by someone, but there are so many people on earth at the moment. Why is that? And the reason is because so many souls wanted to be here for this birthing process. So many souls knew that this was a time of massive transformation of the soul. And so that's why we have such a huge population on earth at the moment. It's not an accident. These are souls wanting, volunteering to go through this fire, the fire that's burning up huge eons of karma.
Yeah, what if we've lived 5,000 lifetimes to get to this one? What's our contribution going to be to this? How are we going to engage with it? Are we going to just sit there and go, oh God, I just want it to be over? Or are we going to say, okay, I'm here, I'm part of this. What can I do? Do I want to feed the wolf of fear and make it worse? Or can I do something more? Can I do something that's actually going to assist? So we have that choice. Every single one of us. Doesn't matter whether you're on Facebook Live or whether you're chatting to your next door neighbor. You know, we've all got the power of actually bringing something unique into the world, because we are unique. We're joined, we're all connected, but we're also unique. We also have unique gifts to bring the world. You know, and one person's gift might be to simply be a light in a neighborhood. That's it. That's her gift. That's his gift. That's it. And that person might be a domestic servant or a gardener, and they have a huge gift because they're giving something that nobody else is giving. So we've all got that.
Yeah.
So it's to just see it as nobody's a victim here. We're all in it. We all chose it. On a soul level, we all chose this. So what are we learning? How are we growing? And how can we embrace it?
Yeah.
It's not going to go away anytime soon.
No. And to know that if we go to the farming or the gardening analogy, that whatever seeds you plant, that is going to be the crop that you get.
Yeah.
And if you plant pumpkin seeds, you get pumpkins. If you plant marrow seeds, you get marrows. You can't get something other than what you plant. And so if you think about what type of world do you want for your children and your grandchildren? Do you want a world built on separation? Well, if you do, then go down the avenue of fear. Feed that emotion every day with your consciousness. Feed fear, separation, put a mask on, separate, social distance. That is fear. If that's the world that you want your grandchildren to inhabit, get inoculated. The other world is the world of connection, the world of trust, the world of life, the world of love. If that's the world you would like your grandchildren to live in, then invest your awareness in that. And the awareness is the activation of that energy within you. Emotion is that energy. Feed that emotion every day. That emotion of gratitude. That emotion of connection, of love, of joy, of peace. Feed that. Set aside half an hour every morning before you start your day to go into peace, to go into meditation, to focus your prayers. Do that. Invest in that. If that's the world you want to grow, because those are the seeds you're planting. So we get a choice right now individually. Do we want to plant the seeds of fear or the seeds of love? And I believe there are many, many multiple universes, many opportunities. And, you know, we will find ourselves living in the world that we have fed with our awareness. Yeah. If you feed fear, you will find that that world will be your future experience. If you feed the world of love, you will find that is the one that will be your future experience. So choose very wisely now. Be courageous and step outside of the norm.
Yeah.
Because normal is mad.
Yeah, it's calling for courage, eh?
Calling for courage. It does. It takes courage to go through these times consciously. And the other things to know is, you know, there are people like David Hawkins, Dr. David Hawkins and others who've spoken about the tipping point. And some people have said it's 1% of the population has to change. And other people have said, no, it's a square root of 1% in order for the whole to change. So if you take the human population of 7.7 billion people, and the square root of 1% is a very small number of people. So each one of you watching tonight, I would suggest you have a huge responsibility on your shoulders to practice this, to take the information that you've gained over the years and now apply it to this particular situation, because applied knowledge becomes wisdom. And that is what we need to do. And your wisdom, your light, your love, your investment in peace will ripple out and affect tens of thousands of other people. Yeah. That's a responsibility that you have resting on your shoulders to be the change you desire to see in the world.
Yep. We've kind of run out of time, but I'm still going to lead those of you who want to stay through the closing meditation. So if you've got another 5 minutes or 6 minutes or so, if you have to go, that's fine, but if you don't, then settle in and I'll just lead you through a centering meditation. So,
before you go, let me just say that we have a course coming up. We're currently running a course. It's called Journey to Freedom, and we're on week 6 now, I think, coming into week 6.
Yes.
And we have such fantastic feedback from the participants. and we've just opened up the enrollment for the next one, which is starting on the 25th of June. And it works out to, it's a 13-week course, and it works out less than 200 Rand a week. And for 200 Rand a week, you get an awful lot of material and support in the guidance of the journey to freedom. So that's available if you want to have a look at the details of that. It's on our website. It's journeysofawakening.com. journeysofawakening.com. And did you put your astrological YouTube clip on that site as well? Resources?
But it's on my page.
It's on your...
I think I did. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But it's definitely on my Facebook
on your
page.
Facebook page, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
But have a look there, and that you can join us for the first week for free. So whether or not you want to do the whole thing, or whether you want to just try it for a week and see what it's like, you'll get a good idea in that week what you're going to get for that full period.
Yeah.
But we've chosen a long period to do it because it's a process. This work, the spiritual work, is not something that quick and happens in a day. It's a process that unfolds, and that is what's happening with the people on the program, is that they're saying, yeah, I'm actually integrating these things into my life, and it's making a difference. But you have to do it over and over. And so we're offering the support to do that.
So you can all join. The first week is a foundation week, and that's absolutely free. You get a whole week with us, and that's no charge at all. So I urge you all, go to the website and join up, and it'd be lovely to have you with us on the 13-week journey. Yeah. So Michelle, do you want to lead us through
I'll lean
a centering meditation?
All right, deep breath in, and a releasing, relaxing sigh out. And let's take another deep belly breath, all the way. Blow your belly out and bring that breath all the way up to the top of your lungs. And then on the out breath, just sigh it all out. The whole day, this whole last hour that we've been together, everything. Just come to the awareness of your breath. Gently bringing the breath in and exhaling with no effort on your part. Just let it be the way it needs to be. Allow your body to be breathed. Just connecting with the air coming in through your nostrils. And leaving through your mouth or your nostrils. The breath of life, which is one of the things that always brings us back to the present moment. I'd like you to take your attention to your heart. And in the middle of your heart, there's a bud, a little beautiful flower bud. And I'd like you to imagine that bud starting to open, petal by petal. Gently, softly, just opening. No effort, no strain, no trying to open within a time limit. Just opening, petal by petal. Ready to allow change and growth and expansion. Get a sense of what that bud is like and what that flower is starting to open into. Get a sense of what color that is. Maybe even get a feeling of what kind of flower it is, or maybe it's an imaginary flower. And when that bud is truly open, see if you can feel the energy of that openness filter out throughout your body. So see what openness feels like. Feel how the tension and the strain starts to actually dissipate and dissolve. Feel your heart itself actually starting to open more and more. And consider these words by Nei Nin. The time has come when the risk to remain tight in a bud was more painful than the risk it took to blossom. Feel what it feels like to open. Open to change. Open to growth. Open to truth. Open to expansion, consciousness, awakening. Now imagine a beautiful little flame of light sitting right inside the middle of that flower. The point of light. You are that point of light. And if you can imagine a wheel, a spinning wheel, spinning around you, the world of thought, the world of things, the world of the manifest form, the ups and downs, the challenges. Imagine that spinning quite fast around you. And you are sitting in the middle, holding your point of light, right in the middle of that spinning wheel. Doesn't matter how fast it goes, you are in the middle. You're present. You're here. You are light. You are love. This point of power is your power. This is where you radiate your power from. Just feel what it feels like to be sitting in the middle of your heart, open, ready, awake, present. Feel what that feels like in your body. Let it soak in. Take a deep breath in and feed that flame, that beautiful point of light, that beautiful flower that's opening. Just keep feeding that over the next few days. If the wheel starts to spin, keep bringing yourself back. Keep just bringing yourself back to the center. And this only takes 1 or 2 conscious breaths to bring yourself back there. Connect with how you feel in this moment. Just noticing, becoming aware. And then taking a beautiful, deep, full breath in. And a gentle breath out. And activate the sense of touch again by rubbing your fingers together maybe. You might put your hands over your eyes. And when you're ready, you can gently open your eyes.
Thank you. That was beautiful. What a wonderful way to start the new week. And also, before we go, let's pull a card, shall we?
Yeah.
An affirmation card for the week. Shall we do that? You want to choose one?
I love this one. I find the love inside me and fall in love with that.
That's that centeredness. You find that centeredness, that beingness, that love. You find it there and then you fall in love with it. That's a beautiful way to get us through these times of challenge and change. That really is beautiful. Yeah, that's really wonderful.
Thanks, people.
So enjoy your week ahead. Choose wisely. Just remember there's always two options here. You've got the fear and you've got the love. Let's choose the love. Let's feed the love. That is the world we want to occupy. Yeah.
Find the love inside me and fall in love with that. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Beautiful.
Thanks, people.
Thank you. Look
Thanks,
forward
John.
to seeing you again. We'll be back on Wednesday night at 7:30. Thank you. Bless you all. Nighty night.
Night.